Hello and welcome to another video and podcast from Fantasy Football Scout as we look ahead to Fantasy Premier League Gameweek 27. It's team selection time as FPL General reveals his thoughts and plans for the upcoming game week. My name is Joe. Mark, welcome. How are you?
I'm good, Joe. Good to be back. Hope you had a nice week off.
Yes.
I could probably do with a week off after a frustrating game week, but good to be here and looking forward to chatting through plans for this upcoming game week and maybe the next couple of game weeks as well.
Indeed, indeed. And welcome to those who are joining us in the live chat. We usually record this and then put this out as a recorded video, but it's a live stream this time because Mark is available at 1 o'clock. So those that are joining us in the live chat, Chris, Matthew, Peter, Andrew, and many more. Thanks a lot for joining us. Do let us know that you can see and hear us all fine, just in the live chat, because as ever, we are restreaming this live on Twitter as well. Obviously, you can't join in on the live chat there, so do look on YouTube. But as a result of that, I can't have any playback section. So do let us know whether you can see and hear us so that me and Mark know that we are not just talking to each other there. Also, Alan has joined the live chat. Let's talk vinyl as well as Jamie. Alan says loud and clear. That is great news. Thank you so much. Just a reminder before we go on, do press that like button and do subscribe as well so you're up to date with all our latest videos and podcasts. And also check out fantasyfootballscout.co.uk for all the latest membership offers. Okay. Let's start with having a look at how you're doing so far. I'll put your team up on the screen, Mark. You're on 53 points, 1 year older than I am. I was 52 this week. I had my birthday, but I'm also on 53. Sadly, I've missed out on getting, so I'm hoping Ariola gets a -1 for me, so I get 52 points. But you're on 53. Do you want to run us through your team and your sort of stars and flops?
Yeah, a team of flops mainly. Belated happy birthday, Joe. Hope it was a good one.
Yes.
I often wonder, will I still be playing this goddamn game when I'm 53? But we'll see. We'll see how things go.
I thought that when I was your age when I started.
I feel like I'm 53 at the moment, the way FPL's going the last few weeks. But yeah, overall, I took a -8 going into this game week, which I don't often do. Pretty sure it's my first -8 of the season. Darwin, Jota, and Gusto made way for Pau Torres, fantastic. Hwang Hee-chan, fantastic. And Ollie Watkins came back in, so at least Watkins did something. So transfer didn't go very well. We had the team news about Kevin De Bruyne. So initially, Kevin De Bruyne was going to be in my starting 11, but I just benched him and put Solanke into the 11. So that worked out. Got 2 points that I would have missed out on otherwise. So yeah, team of flops. The double Arsenal clean sheet wipeout was extremely painful. Out for dinner with my wife, keeping an eye on the TV in the corner and seeing that late goal, almost choked on my meal. Pau Torres off at half time. Estupiñán benched again. Garnacho, when I needed him most, didn't do anything. Hwang blanked. Points came from Foden, Saka. Captain Haaland got the assist, but again, a lot of missed chances from Haaland, which was frustrating. So it'll be a red arrow. I was 51k. I'll probably finish around 70k. So I was looking back at my season since game week 16. I think I was 66k, and I'm going to end up back there. So I've gone nowhere fast. Just kind of hoping this season takes off in the near future.
Yeah, I mean, the way I look at that though, because I'm in a similar position. I'm sort of hovering around the 50k mark. I could be 70k by the end of the week, by next week. And I've been hovering around that sort of 50 to 100k for quite a long time. But the way I look at it is I'm sort of maintaining that rank where you're in touching distance of a really good rank and perhaps winning mini leagues as well. I've seen many people with teams where they've disastrous month. I've gone from 30k to 300k and that type of thing. So I look at them and I think, and you should as well, and think, well, I'm hovering around 60, 70k. I'm quite happy with that at the moment.
Yeah, and I mean, it's fine margins. I was always going to end up on a Wolves attacker, I think, because of the Sheffield United fixture. But I was doing a stream last Thursday night, and I talked myself into Douglas Luiz and then talked myself back out of it on Friday. And it's, fine margins. And the example is I went for Pau Torres and Hwang. They got me 4 points. If I just flipped that and if I went for a Craig Dawson and a Douglas Luiz, massive swing, and you're probably looking at a very healthy green arrow. So like you say, I'm probably feeling a wee bit frustrated that rank basically hasn't moved since game week 16. But if I if you offered me around 70k
Yeah.
going into game week 27, I'll take that all day long. So
Okay.
hopefully, one or two good game weeks to come, and I can start shooting up towards 50k again, and maybe even further. Top 10k is certainly still on the cards.
Yeah, so what we're going to do from now, we're going to have a look at the season ticker just so we can get our thoughts together about where we're going, because there's some big changes going to happen this week. We've got FA Cup games, FA Cup draw. That means that Game Week 29 will take shape, which means that we'll look at our teams and we'll think, I'm going to have to free hit because I've only got 1 or 2 players. Or it could mean we could get a respectable 9 to 11 players going, depending on cup sets during the week. So that's a really important thing. So it's good to have a look at the season ticker for that. And then before we came on, Mark said basically his defence was in tatters and he wants some new names. He wants some new names. So I've come up with a table with some familiar names and some new names for him. There, and then we'll have a look at Mark's bus team, and then if we've got time at the end, we'll take some questions at the end. So all those in the live chat, do have a think about some questions to ask us. We'll try and answer them in whatever time we've got left before we have to shoot off and eat dinner, eat lunch, and that kind of thing. Okay, let's have a look at the season ticker. Okay, so I've sorted this by difficulty. You can do that at Fantasy Football Scout. You've got the season ticket, sort by difficult, quite easy, and do it. And I've done it to the next 6 weeks. Obviously, Game Week 28 is a bigger one for Bournemouth and Luton. Bournemouth are absolutely top from Game Week 27 to Game Week 32, and that's largely, I mean, it's a sea of blue fixtures here, as in blue for easy, and they've got the absolute dream for an attacking point of view double game week. They've got Sheffield United and Luton both at home. It does not get better than that. So those who haven't used a triple captain chip, Solanke is ready for you. Luton are next. They've also got a sea of blue. They've only really got the Tottenham Arsenal games in 30 and 31. The rest are pretty good for them. And they have that double away at Crystal Palace and, of course, away to Bournemouth. Meanwhile, Newcastle, Fulham, Tottenham, Burnley, they've all got good fixtures, but some teams like Burnley we might not go for. Meanwhile, Brighton, their fixtures start to stiffen really bad in Game Week 29 when they got City and Liverpool, this sort of deadly duo of fixtures. Man City themselves, not great fixtures, but it is Man City. Sheffield United, bad fixtures, bad form, bad everything. Target attackers against them. Manchester United, pretty poor as well, and that starts with City next. They do have Sheffield United in Game Week 29, possibly if the cup games go our way. And we do know that there are certain teams already. West Ham against Villa, Fulham against Tottenham, Burnley against Brentford are definitely on. Luton, Nottingham Forest, or Manchester United, Sheffield United could be on. But it all depends on cup results. But I think for me personally, with 2 Arsenal, 1 Chelsea, with Palmer still in my team, I desperately want the Arsenal-Chelsea to go ahead. And so I'm going to be a Leeds fan. I want Leeds to beat Chelsea. I want that game to go ahead. If that doesn't, I might free hit. But yeah, that's my spiel. What about you? You're looking at this here. What are your sort of key concerns? Are you minded? Are you potentially free hitting 29? What sort of cup sets are you after?
Yeah, I've very much just taken the approach of just trying to keep an open mind and taking it week by week. And this is obviously a huge week for information. So no major FPL thinking or tinkering will be done until late on Wednesday night or Thursday morning. So depending on how things shake out, I'm totally open-minded. I might free hit in 29 if I feel like the squad needs it. I may not. I think ideally I'd like to free hit in maybe 34 or 37, just play it in a double instead of a blank. And wildcard is on the table for me soon as well. I wildcarded in Game Week 20, so not that long ago. But again, I haven't made any ground really with the wildcard. My defense is a mess. Pedro Porro is stooping in. I've got Pau Torres now as well. I've got De Bruyne, who I may want to sell. So everything's on the table. And I'm just going to enjoy the FA Cup games. And then, when we have the information, I will sit down and I will see what is right for the squads. Obviously, injury updates will be very important for my team specifically this week because of those players that I just mentioned. If I'm struggling to get even 2 defenders out this week, I've got Gabriel and I've got Amari Bell, but I don't really want to use Bell unless it's the double game week.
Okay.
So, if Porro, Stupinan, and Pau Torres are all doubts for me in terms of starts, then I might end up wildcarding game as soon as this week, game week 27,
Wow.
because I like the fact that we'll have a much clearer picture of the landscape after the cup results. So, like I say, everything's on the table. If I did wildcard in 27, opens the door for bench boost 28. I like getting the bench boost out of the way so I can focus on the starting 11. So again, completely flexible. And we'll see how this week goes. The team, we'll look at the team soon, but if the defenders were okay, it's not too bad. In terms of the midfielders and the attackers, it's in pretty decent shape. Even a hit or two again if need be, and I'll be in a pretty good position. So everything is possible this week.
Yeah, I mean, the big ones for me, as I said, it's the looking at the cup games. I think if everything goes as it should, and there aren't any upsets, which I think there's usually one or two. So, for example, Southampton could end up beating Liverpool, for example, and that would be absolutely huge for our teams, because that would mean that the just seeing who Liverpool play, Liverpool Everton game would be on. Which would be amazing.
And again, sorry to cut in, Joe, but if we got Liverpool fixture, then that changes everything in terms of a wild card as well. Let's say if Salah was fit, I've got rid of all my Liverpool players, so a wild card makes it much easier to get back to some of those guys. So it's going to be interesting this week.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, if there are no upsets at all, there's nothing. There's just those 3 games. I'm stuffed because I've got Watkins and Areola, and they're against each other anyway. So that would prompt me to use my free hit then, because I much prefer to go in with 11, take my chances. I've got no Spurs, I've got no Tony. I could spend some hits, but I couldn't get 11 out. I couldn't get anywhere near it. I couldn't even get 9 out without multiple hits. So by then I would just think, well, the free hit's going to be better for me. But even if one of those games, so Luton game goes ahead, so I've got Doughty, but that's still only like 3 players. So, but if some of those other games, the Arsenal-Chelsea one key, oh God, Liverpool will be amazing. Any of those can go in to that game week, then I'm suddenly looking at maybe a -8 to get a credible sort of 9, 10, 11 out. And with the players like, Salah and those types, easy to get for those like you and me. You've got De Bruyne, you've got the sort of money tied up there. It's not too much a bigger stretch, but yeah, these are the things we've got to look out for. And I know that a lot of the content we're going to be doing this week is going to be sort of divided into 2 sort of content of 2 halves. You can have the pre-Wednesday lot like us and with what we're going to do, and then you're going to have Thursday lot. So deadline dilemmas and burning questions are both going to be on Thursday. That's going to be post Wednesday, so then we're going to have some more firmer plans about what we're doing. But at least what we can do now is sort of what we're looking out for and which teams we want to go for. So yeah, we want to be Southampton fans, we want to be Leeds fans this week.
Yeah, again, just looking at those fixtures that we definitely do have at the moment in Game Week 29 as well. I'm not in fantastic shape. I did bring in, Pau Torres. Part of the reason there was he does have the fixture, but now he may be crocked, so that might scupper those plans. Watkins came back in. In hindsight, now wish I had Douglas Luiz instead of Hwang, but before the game week, that was a much closer decision. I've got Porro, but will he be fit for 29? Who knows? And then, you're lacking your Heung-min Sons, your Charlisons, your James Madisons. And again, I would love to have Ivan Toney, maybe even Reguilon as well from Brentford. And maybe you go all out and you get a Fleck in also. So I totally open the free hit 29. Even though I've kind of started planning for 29, but if those plans get scuppered and if I feel like the free hit's worth doing, I'll just go for it.
Another thing I was thinking is whilst I say we're all going to be Leeds Southampton fans, I don't know. Part of me kind of wants to use the free hit in 29 because it's such an annoying blank game week. And I feel I can plan for 34. I've still got a wild card. I've still got the bench boost. So I can use those in sort of tandem, and also it means that I can keep players I want in 27, 28, and carry them over into 30, just forget 29 because that's just a free hit. So say, for example, looking at Bournemouth's fixtures, so Solanke would be arguably a move to Tony. So say Solanke hasn't got a fixture in 29, easy move to Tony. But then in Game Week 30, he's got Everton. Then he's got Crystal Palace at home, both at home. Then he's got Luton away. So I'm going to want him back. And then with the City players as well, it's like, well, yeah, okay, City don't have a game week in 29, but they come straight back in with this crunch home game against Arsenal. Who knows what's going to happen there? And then they've got Aston Villa at home, and then they've got Crystal Palace away. So I'm not going to want to ditch Haaland for those. And so that's the dilemma that we face. Is it's not just the double game weekers or those playing in blanks. It's who we're getting rid of. And lots have got rid of Palmer. You've got rid of Palmer?
Yeah, I sold him.
Yeah, Chelsea have got Brentford away next, Newcastle's dodgy defence in Gameweek 28, and then they've got potentially Arsenal in 29, but then they've got Burnley at home, Manchester United at home, Sheffield United away. That's Palmer-tastic.
Yeah, I mean, again, back to the potential Gameweek 27 wildcard, if I did activate it, very good chance Palmer would come back in.
Yeah. Definitely, but it's that example of that player that if Palmer doesn't have a fixture in 29 as he did in 26, people are going to want to get rid of, and then they're going to come back to a team in Game Week 30 and go, oh, actually, I wouldn't mind playing Palmer at home to Burnley. In fact, I definitely would. In fact, you start thinking about captaining maybe for that. So yeah, it's a lot to think about, and so hopefully we've given people an idea of the season ticker ahead and what we can expect from the cup games.
I think I'm right in saying the Saturday deadline is not until 1:30, so I think that does give us a little bit of extra time. Let me just double check that. Yeah. So 1:30 is it? Yeah, same as last weekend. It's 2nd of March at 1:30.
That'll be good. So
basically, if people do end up, playing wildcards and stuff like that, it's good to have that extra bit of time to do so.
So my lunch won't be in any way ruined by our good friend, your friend of mine, Mr. Leaker, who will be drip feeding. And I think what they'll do is they'll drip feeds the news, the startling news now before about some boring defender that no one owns. And then at 27 minutes past, that big news about Kevin De Bruyne is coming out. Or they're obviously doing it for us, and in no way doing it for their own gratification. And to
do you know what it was? Obviously, I was enraged by it a couple of weeks ago. Then the week after that, last weekend, not the weekend just gone, but the weekend before that, I was pretty ill, and for the first time, and I can't remember how long, I said, you know what, I'm just going to sleep through the deadline. I don't care. I made my moves on Friday, and it was quite liberating just to sleep from. I was up early with a wee man, and then I went to bed about 10 in the morning again, and I woke up about noon, and it was like, I need to do that more often.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to ignore it anyway. I mean, it's there, and I don't like you. Everyone knows your and mine, especially yours, views about leakers. We're not keen, and but a news that Kevin De Bruyne is on the bench means nothing to me, because I'll take 20 minutes of Kevin De Bruyne over most other players. In my case, it would be Garnacho. So it's immaterial. Whatever Kevin De Bruyne starts, benched, away, whatever, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, because it's hard. I was sitting in a supermarket car park on Saturday. The news comes through about De Bruyne, and I was always reluctant to bench Solanke anyway. Against City, I thought he was capable of getting something, but I was in that conundrum then. Do I play De Bruyne? Do I play Solanke? So I just made the switch, because I kind of made the decision on Friday night that if there was news that De Bruyne wasn't going to start, I was going to bench him and I was going to play Solanke. But then, during the Man City game, I see De Bruyne coming on, and then I'm absolutely terrified, because Solanke's done nothing, and De Bruyne had very good opportunities. He was in good positions.
Every game he comes on, the last 10 minutes.
So I was just waiting for punishment again from the league. So it's a tough one whether to act or not.
It's I mean, we'll move on from leagues in a sec, but it's that sort of sense of being affronted when people criticize them. We're doing it for you. We're doing a public service. Well, if you're doing a public service, you don't do the big news at 3 minutes to when the site crashes. Haaland benched. Imagine that. 27 minutes past. They're not going to be doing that an hour before. Ruben Dias benched. Who cares? That's an hour before. So you do wonder what their motivation is, and it's perhaps not as kind as they make out. But anyway, I'm sure I'll get pelters for that.
Let's move on.
Let's move on before I get attacked by the leaker lobby.
I'm just waiting for your window to smash. Stone through the window.
Okay, you want a new defence. You might wildcard it in. So I have got a list. I've got a table of defenders. I've sorted it by shots inside the box. I've missed out a few that aren't regular starters, or there are teams that you just wouldn't go for. Like, I could have been a Burnley defender, and I don't think there was. But for example, you're not. I'm not going to tempt you to say, "Hey, get in this Burnley defender." So I've got players in this list, attacking defenders, and it's either they're absolutely goalilicious. In Alfie Doughty's case, they're assist a Davidozi, and in terms of Cash, Doggy, and Senasai, they've got some kind of fixture advantage. They either playing the blank game week 29, or they got double game week in Senasai's case. Okay, so going down this list, so you want rid of a Stupinan, you want rid of Pau Torres. So I put a broad range of sort of price points here. I'll go down the list and see if you're interested in them. Now, you're a Manchester United fan. Harry Maguire only costs 4.2. He's had 8 shots inside the box, created 4 chances. He has scored, he's assisted. Reason for getting him in is that old forehead of his, slamming against the ball and getting it into the net. He's got 1 clean sheet. Man United are Man United, as you know, at the moment. But he's not too bad for minutes per baseline bonus, sort of every 8 minutes or so. He's pretty much starting most games, and his expected goal involvement is actually getting on for nearly 2 over the last 6 game weeks. I think I've done this by last 6 matches, by the way, so apologies for people there suddenly looking at their own stats. I've done this by 6 matches, but I put game weeks in the title, so it's the last 6 matches they have played. Can I tempt you by a cut price, 4.2, Harry Maguire?
He's certainly an option. I finally added him to my watch list last week. He probably should have been there before that, because we know it's, the price 4.2 is a ridiculous price for a player who's capable of attacking returns like Maguire is. And the problem is Manchester United. You just don't know what you're going to get. It looks like we're turning the corner, and then we go out and lose at home to Fulham. So it's hard to back a Maguire in terms of clean sheets anyway. Okay. But again, most teams are hard to buy for clean sheets. So he's an option, but I think when there's a couple of players that have double game weeks coming up, that they would probably win out over
Okay. Apologies if people can hear any background noise. You might not be able to for here, but there are several lorries have decided to make loads of noise outside my house. But I think it might be just I can hear it, and the projection mic. I don't know if Mark, you can hear it as well, but there's.
I'm just laughing. I'm hoping it's not the leakers or anything.
It could be the leak. Yeah, by the lorry, they're going to slowly dismantle my house or something while I'm not looking. Okay. Harry Maguire on your watch list possibly, but not in your team.
Just the watch list. I think it'll take a lot for me to buy him.
Okay, next one's in your team. I think Gabriel. It's good to put him in there because other people will be watching and thinking. They don't have him. Basically get him in, and I could probably add Saliba to this, or in fact any of the defenders, because they all seem to be able to scoring. The Arsenal have come back with their set pieces threat, and it's teams cannot handle it. So while teams can't work out how to handle Arsenal's set piece threat at the moment, it's probably advisable to get as many of their players as possible that you can get in their team. Gabriel, he's had 8 shots inside the box, 3 goals, 3 clean sheets, and some offside goals as well that aren't included in this. Expected goal involvement is 2 goals there. Were you tempted to? You can't get another Arsenal, can you? Have you got Saka, Raya as well?
Yeah, I've already doubled up. I've got Saka and I've got David Raya in goal as well. I've got the Raya Gabriel double up, but I think the best defensive double up is Saliba and Gabriel. Maybe even Ben White over the goalkeeper. Yeah. Raya doesn't have a high ceiling. It's usually 6 points or 2 points. And just the way in recent times that Arsenal have exploded in terms of set pieces, I'd rather have the 2 centre backs rather than the goalkeeper and the centre back. Again, going back to the frustrating moments in the pub with the misses at the weekend, I was sitting keeping an eye on things over my shoulder, and I seen Gabriel run away celebrating. I was like, great, there's another goal. Yeah. And of course he gets absolutely nothing from, I think it was an own goal in the end. So but he's always thereabouts, as is Saliba. But yeah, if you don't have Gabriel certainly should be near the top of your priority list.
Yeah, definitely. So I think, I mean, you mentioned about wildcarding, and there'll be others who are wildcarding or others that perhaps have a spare Arsenal place as well. If you were wildcarding now and say Arsenal, that Arsenal game is going ahead in Game Week 29, or you had a free hit to avoid it somehow, would that be your triple up? Saka, Gabriel, Saliba?
Yeah, I think so. I would lose the goalkeeper. And I'd probably go, Kaminsky or Neto or something
Okay.
for double gaming reasons, and just get the double threat from set pieces.
Okay.
Odegaard's emerged in recent times as well, but yeah, to me, Gabriel Saliba for the rest of the season just sounds good.
Yep, yep, I think so too. Next name, Cher, Newcastle. Now, Newcastle's now people aren't keen on Newcastle's defence at the moment, but nevertheless, Cher has had 8 shots inside the box in his last 6 matches he's played. Created a couple of chances. He's got 3 goals and an assist, so he's definitely got that little ball there as in the reason to get him goals. No clean sheets though, but expected goal involvement of 1.5. So he's overperforming, but nevertheless, he is getting those returns. Newcastle's fixtures are pretty good. It's just their form is so bad. They got Wolves, and then they got Chelsea, but then they got Crystal Palace, West Ham, Everton, and Fulham. Well, that's if they have Crystal Palace in 29, that is. But they've definitely got West Ham and Everton and Fulham just after that. So it's not bad bunch of fixtures. And he's the kind of low-owned player that can really rocket you up, the rankings. Are you tempted?
I'm always tempted by Fabian Schär, kind of regardless of fixtures. I think he's almost unlike any other centre back. He's so good in the opposition box. He basically turns into a very accomplished finisher very often. I think there was a goal recently, kind of on the half volley, just really controlled into the corner that you don't see too many centre backs scoring. I think over his career, he's got an extremely good strike rate in terms of scoring goals. I think it might have been something like 1 in 6 at one point a couple of years ago, 1 in every 6. So it's definitely an option. I did remove him from the watch list recently because of that wrist injury, but he's obviously fine now. And yeah, he's an option. But again, when I'm getting slightly blinded by Bournemouth and Luton at the top of the fixture ticker here because of the double, the extra fixture, and also they're just a bit cheaper, those options, than Fabian Schär. So I'm happier to bench Bournemouth or Luton defender longer term. Whereas if I bought Fabian Schär, I'd probably just want to play him every week. So I've got Gabriel. Yeah, with my other issues, he's definitely in the conversation as a possible long term buy. I'd be much more interested if Newcastle weren't so poor defensively.
Yeah, I think they are pretty poor. Luton, Doughty. I've been talking about him for seemingly forever, since he was born. But it's actually only a couple of months. But yeah, he's had 6 shots inside the box, an eye-popping 15 chances created in his last 6 matches he's played. A couple of assists only. There was that game where he broke records for a player to get the most number of chances created in a match. I put an A for an assist for the reason to get him in. Clean sheet, and you can also put in the fact he's got a double game week in there. Clean sheets just 1 though. Expected goal involvement 1.3. Corners an eye-popping 34. Starts every game. Minutes per baseline bonus. All of the minutes per baseline bonus are really strong for all of these players. He did go off with an injury, so we don't know what the status of that is yet. If fit though, you do have Bell. Would you be tempted to get Doughty in just for sort of double game week 28? The fact that he's got all this opportunity to assist.
Yeah, I want him. Simple as that.
Okay.
I wanted him for the first double, and I just had to do a few other things instead. And I was very fearful. I never thought I'd be fearful of a Luton defender going into a double game week, but I was, because I knew he was owned by quite a few mini league rivals and stuff. So this double is better as well, I think, in terms of fixtures. So yeah, I want him. And when I've got a player like a Stupinan who I cannot rely on anymore, or if it turns out that Pau Torres is going to be out for a while, it's a very easy move. But what I'd probably do is just wait until 28 itself, because I want to see that he's okay first of all. Or let's say there was a positive update that's Friday to say he's fine for the weekend, and I would obviously pull the trigger, straight away for Game of 27 because I'm going to need at least probably one new defender this week anyway, so I would like to bring him in. So yeah, the fact that I have Amari Bell doesn't change it for me,
Okay.
and I would probably just end up playing both of them in
Okay.
double Game 28, and hopefully Bell does more than he did in the previous double. I think he only got me 1 point in the end.
No, there was that game where he got bonus in the game where Doughty broke records for creating chances, and Bell walks away, literally stole Doughty's bonus points somehow. There. Next name on the list, I've got a goal, a little football there for the reason to get him in a goal. It's Lewis Dunk at Brighton. He is the Brighton defender we should have all got in instead of getting Stupinan in. Lewis Dunk, the captain, fantastic. 6 shots inside the box. He's created 6 chances as well. He's got 2 goals and an assist, and a couple of clean sheets as well in his last 6 matches. Expected goal involvement 1.2, and yeah, starting every game. It's Brighton's fixtures. They've got Fulham up next, then Nottingham Forest. Then it takes a turn with City and Liverpool, but then Brentford and Arsenal. So arguably, probably Dunk's time has passed. We're sort of starting to almost miss the boat. There's probably just a couple more fixtures left where you're going to want to field him regularly. Is that the feeling you'll get? It's not form, it's fixtures.
Yeah, it's fixtures and it's lack of clean sheets as well. It's a bit like Fabian Schär. I like Lewis Dunk as an attacking threat, but you want to have at least a chance of clean sheets. And I somehow lucked into a couple of clean sheets with a Stupinan just after the wild card. But again, they change the goalkeeper every week, and Lewis Dunk, yeah, I like him, but like you say, we probably missed the boat on that one. And if I end up selling the Stupinan, it's not going to be a sideways switch to Lewis Dunk. I'll go elsewhere.
Okay. Next player on this is in my team. Is Van Dijk. He's got 2 goals in the last 2 games. That includes the League Cup final. 6.4. He's one of those double game week players. We were talking a bit before on air that double game week happens or blank game week. You make lots of transfers and then at the end of it you think, oh, they're in my team. And I'm a bit like that. Oh, Kelleher and Van Dijk are in my team. But yeah, Van Dijk, 6 shots inside the box. I got him in for that Burnley game where he didn't return, but then he did in the next, in one of the doubles game weeks. Double games, and then also in that League Cup final. 2 chances created. He's got his goal, and he's got a clean sheet as well. Expected goal involvement just under 1, so he's pretty much doing what is expected to have done as well. And his minutes per baseline bonus, once again, still very strong, around the 6. Every 6 minutes, he's getting a baseline bonus there. That's the baseline bonus, for those wondering, is where it's basically the bonus point system points that you get towards your bonus points that aren't goals, assists, or clean sheets. It's your jobbing stuff, your tackles, your creative chances, that type of thing. Tempted by Van Dijk?
Yeah, he's definitely put his hand up. I think when you factor in, Trent's injury, Bradley's emerged as a really good alternative, which could eat into Trent's minutes longer term anyway. It's when before the Liverpool double, I was selling Trent, and with the moves I was making, I couldn't quite afford Van Dijk, so that's why I went Gabriel. I might have went Gabriel anyway, just as a longer term pick, but it's just a price tag that puts me off slightly. But if we're going to be reluctant to pay the big price for Trent now, longer term, out of maybe some rotation fears or early substitutions, then I think we do need to start looking at Van Dijk more. He probably gets ignored too much over the last couple of years, FPL-wise. Again, mainly because we have Trent and Robertson, but Robertson's not the FPL force he once was. Trent has question marks now. So I think Van Dijk will become more popular. I think he had a goal ruled out in the cup final as well. So there's... I say it all the time. I remember him, as a Celtic fan, when he was up here, he was, I think he might have scored 10 goals in a season, or maybe I'm just remembering that, exaggerating that a bit. But
it wouldn't surprise me. He's a weapon at set pieces.
I always feel like he should score more goals than he does. I was listening to, I think it was Above Average podcast as well this week, and it was just like, when he's in the mood, he can do it almost whenever he wants. But he's quite a relaxed looking footballer on the pitch, and I feel like if he really wanted to get more goals, he could. So I really do like him. But again, it's price is a little bit tricky.
Yeah. I mean, as an owner, I can comment on what it's like to own him, and there are all of those positives there. We just spoke about the fact that he could get clean sheets, but also he's a goal scoring threat at set pieces. The downside though is that price, and looking ahead. A lot of people don't have Salah and will want Salah at some point. A lot of people don't have Son but will want Son at some point. A lot of people want to perhaps try and do that and keep Haaland and have Saka and Foden. And so money will start to become an issue again. Not at the moment, but it will do. And I'm looking at Van Dijk as a possible sell at some point if it enables me, for example, at some point soon to have Salah and Son. I will sacrifice Van Dijk for that. So that's the sort of downside of having him when you can get other players for example, in this list that are a couple of million cheaper as well. So just to sort of weigh it up there, those thinking of getting him in, that's the decision you might have. But yeah, the fixtures, Nottingham Forest away, well, you field him there, set piece threat as well. But then Man City in 28, he might not play in 29, and then he comes straight back into 30 with Brighton at home, and then Sheffield United. So these are quite good fixtures, but they're not amazing. But well, obviously the Sheffield United one is. But I just think Van Dijk might not be as fashionable as he perhaps is at the moment soon.
Yeah, it's definitely comes down to budget, doesn't it? All those big guys you mentioned, we're going to be scraping the pennies together soon. Yeah. And people like yourself who have Van Dijk, probably will be a cash cow.
Okay. People joining in the live chat already with our conversation, which is good. BB Defender points out that Van Dijk even scored direct free kicks for Celtic as well. So it's worth pointing out that Lewis Dunk has done so in the past for Brighton as well, but not in the same league as Van Dijk with that. Okay, keep going down the list. We've got Matty Cash. So you got Pau Torres for Villa. You've obviously pinpointed Villa as a team to have. They've got good fixtures and they crucially play in Gameweek 29. They've obviously played in 26 as well. 4 shots inside the box for Cash in his last 6 matches he's played. Created 4 chances, but it's not the gung-ho Cash that we've been used to before. Are you tempted to stick with Villa though if you get rid of Pau Torres and he's not fit?
Yeah, I think I'm cursed myself with Villa defender, so I'm not going to go from one to the other because I feel if I went from Pau to Cash, I guarantee you Consa would be back by 29 and Cash would be back on the bench. So it's just minutes concerns. We've had enough evidence this season that we know Cash is not a nailed on week in, week out player. So again, it's a no for me on Matty Cash.
Okay. Next name is Destiny Doggy on the list here. He's one of the reasons I sold Porro. I don't own either now, but I looked at them. I looked at their stats and I thought, well, a Doggy is getting on for $1 million cheaper, or he was at that stage. If I get a Tottenham defender, which I'm not necessarily want the Tottenham defender, but if I did, I'd probably go for a Doggy. Created 9 chances, had 3 shots inside the box. He's got a goal, he's got an assist. He plays in blank game week 29, definitely. His expected goal involvement is 1.6, so he's doing well there. And his baseline bonus, obviously all of them are all strong here. You got Porro. Are you tempted to make that shift? Or is just Tottenham defence just not a one to go for at the moment?
Yeah, I kind of been holding on to Pedro Porro because I've had other issues. I had to get rid of Trent, for example. I sold Gusto instead of Porro, just because I thought maybe longer term, if I don't free hit in 29 and if Porro's back, he might be useful. But I certainly don't rate Porro as highly as I did in the first part of the season. Again, clean sheets are very unlikely at Tottenham. And I think his attacking threat has diminished a bit as well, especially now with Maddison back. So there's a very good chance. Again, if I didn't have a Stupin and Pau Torres issues, I'd probably be looking to sell Pedro Porro in the near future as well. But again, it's all up in the air. All these defenders. I just need to see what happens in terms of team news and the cup results as well. But I wouldn't be, even with the Doggy when he's back, which I think he might be back even sooner than Porro. I'm not overly interested in them. But again, if I don't like Porro as much, then you may as well save the cash with the Doggy if you do want to have a Tottenham player for 29. So again, I'll probably longer term end up with no Tottenham defenders.
Just while we've been broadcasting, there's been some breaking news regarding Everton. They did have a 10 points deduction. They now have a 6-point deduction. So they're essentially plus 4 points, which in the updated table I'm looking at here, I think it's the updated table anyway, they're shooting up to 15th. So they've leapfrogged Brentford, Nottingham Forest, Luton, and that means that Luton, Burnley, and Sheffield United, the three promoted teams, are in the relegation zone there. With Nottingham Forest on 4 points away from relegation, and Brentford 5 points away from the drop, same as Everton now. So it's still quite tight down there, but that's good news for Everton fans, definitely, and that could be a bit of hope from them. It might also change how Everton play. I'm not suggesting that they'll. If anything, it could make them, be a bit more gung ho. I know they did have an upturn in form when they got the full deduction. It was like a sort of up yours kind of attitude there. But now they might be full of pomp and like, right, okay, a few more wins, we can actually we can come out of this, we can drag ourselves away, and be fine. So Branthwaite is not on my list here, but I mentioned him. He could be an option, do you think?
Yeah, he's a really good defender, first of all. I expect him to go, quite far in the game in his career on what I've seen so far. I know Erling Haaland pushed him over recently, but Erling Haaland will push most defenders over, to be fair. Yeah. I don't think that will affect him. But yeah, great goal. Again, bit like Fabian Schär, really, really nice technique and a really good goal. And it's always, I think with Sean Dyche teams, you always feel slightly comfortable buying a cheap defender because there's always chance of a clean sheet there. And Branthwaite showed he is a threat in opposition boxes. So again, I've been saying it all season. He's been on my watch list all season just as a cheap option for the bench that you can use when the fixtures are good. So yeah, certainly we probably should add him to our list.
And last name on the list is Senesi at Bournemouth. The clean sheet's 0. But he does have a goal in his last 6 matches he's played. 3 shots inside the box, 4 chances created, so it wasn't a one-off. His expected goal involvement is 1.2, so a bit more than he's actually got. Obviously, started every game. Minutes per baseline bonus, good as well, strong around the 8 minutes mark for each one of those getting those baseline bonus point system points. I was thinking, pretty much I thought, well, this for someone like me, I've got a Stupinan as well, who's going to be benched this week. Senesi would be the logical move, get him ahead of that game week 28. He's actually got a good fixture this week, playing Burnley, but he's on 8 yellow cards. So if he gets a yellow card in game week 27, he's going to miss. And then he gets up to 9, and then he gets another yellow in the first game of game week 28. That's it, 2 games out. So he misses essentially the second half of the double. That's a risk though, to get a yellow card in both those matches, but it would just be dumb luck to get him in. And then he gets a yellow 27, yellow 28. Can't use him for the second game in 28, and you can't use him in 29 when they face Wolves. So Senesi is probably my game week 28 move. If he hasn't got if he's still on 8 yellows, you tempted by him nevertheless?
Yeah, I've kind of had him earmarked for a wee while for this run from 28 to 33, I think it is. The fixtures, obviously top of the fixture ticker here, so that tells you all you need to know. But it does make sense to wait one more week. Make sure he doesn't get a yellow against Burnley, because if he does get a yellow against Burnley, you probably don't want him then. But I guarantee it'll be that scenario. He'll get booked against Burnley. Then a lot of people won't buy him because of the yellows, and then he'll absolutely smash it in the double game week. That will be the theme of FPL, the way it's been going over the last few weeks. So I really like Senesi, but I think I like Alfie Doughty more.
Yeah.
And given there's no yellow card risk, I feel like there's a lot more avenues to points with Alfie Doughty. I think I'm leaning towards the Luton man rather than Senesi. But again, I could actually, sounds boring, but I could get Doughty this week. And if I still have defensive issues the following week, maybe Senesi comes in then. So maybe end up with both for the double. But that sounds pretty boring at this stage of the season.
I mean, it would be the yellow cards with Senesi would be. Remember, I think it was last season with Maddison, where he was 2 yellows away from a ban miss, and it was coming up to a really crucial week when you wanted him like a blank or a double, and sure enough,
he got his yellow, didn't he?
He got his yellow. Yeah, I remember I think it was at an FPL meets, and it was against Crystal Palace. And it was a terrible game, and he got picked up a yellow. And then I think
it was very late. I think it might have been 95th minute or something.
It was, yeah. And there was, the FPL meets fraternity were very annoyed because we all had him in our team. As a lot of people did. Okay, there's some good options there though. So it sounds like you're leaning towards Alfie Doughty. I've got your bus team up for going into Gameweek 27. Do you want to read that out and sort of factor in what perhaps defensive move or any other move you might make?
Yeah, so for the audio listeners, Arsenal double up of Raya and Gabriel. You've got Pedro Porro and Pau Torres, who are both flagged. Midfield of Foden, De Bruyne, Hwang, and Saka. And then up front, Haaland, Watkins, and Solanke. On the bench, you've got Areola, Garnacho, Amari Bell, and Estupinan. So the team doesn't look too bad. Obviously, there's defensive issues here. And I think regardless of what happens this week, I'm probably going to be forced into a defensive move because I don't want to ever start Estupinan again. There's too many cameos from the bench. Yeah. So Estupinan to Alfie Doughty, or, you know, if there's updates on Porro's fitness, if it's longer term, if it's Pau Torres longer term, that might influence who gets sold. But I also would like to sell De Bruyne. Heung-min Son I've kind of been looking at for this week, and it's an interesting one because, as many people know, my little boy's called Sonny, and it's his birthday, his first birthday this Saturday. Just happens that Tottenham play on Saturday at home to Crystal Palace, so I feel like I need to get Son in. Yeah. Maybe even go all the way and give him the armband just to mark the occasion. So we'll see if that transpires. But all of that, if you throw all that in, you know, the defensive issues, I'd like to get Son. If the cups, whatever happens in the cups, I feel like I might get to Thursday and I might just look at it and think, do you know what? Maybe I will just wildcard. So I'll see how things go. But again, I could just maybe take a -4. Yeah. And then, like we mentioned just before we start recording, you mentioned it's big game Kev. So maybe just keep De Bruyne for the Manchester United fixture, because chances are he'll turn up after we sell him. So some tricky decisions, but again, it actually feels like a nice calm couple of days until Thursday, until we have the information and then figure things out.
Okay, I'll give my views on this team in a sec, but just to remind people in the live chat, we have got a few minutes for some Q&A. So if you've got some questions, do put them in the chat, and I'll put them to Mark, and then we can take it from there. So do press do press that like button. I mean, do put your questions in, but also do press that like button. I've got that on like muscle reflex. Like and subscribe. But yeah, do leave some questions there. So yes, your team. I one of the things I was listening to the All About FPL podcast, and their Spurs fans, and while they were saying there's been a distinct lack of training pictures from their team, Spurs. So Porro and Udogie were injured. We don't know whether they still are. It's not sort of working out for the team at the moment. So perhaps there'll be changes. Son could come in as a number 9 rather than out wide. We don't know. We don't know. You know, Maddison will have a slightly different role, but yeah. So Porro is a sort of a wait and see for me. If I owned him, I don't know what I'm getting. So I think he's probably worth, if he's fit, he'll play, and if he's not, I can't see a cameo for him there. So, you know, Bell would come in. But yeah, Powell, if he is injured, Luton away would be good fixture, but if he is injured, yeah. I think your Doughty move is probably the best one because it sets you up. But say Doughty is indeed injured for a week or so. Would you might be looking to the De Bruyne move, and then it's that big game Kev line again, and he has been. I can't see him being sort of minutes managed for this game, and I can see him basically. Manchester United at home is a better fixture than Son at home to Palace on current form, I would say, because Palace have got new manager bounce at the moment, and I know as an Anderson owner for Palace, I thought I was at my game week was relying on a Palace clean sheet, bizarrely. You take what you can get in a blank, and there could be an upturn in their defence possibly.
Yeah, and Kevin De Bruyne versus Heung-min Son. It's not a straightforward decision. De Bruyne has been he's let us down, or maybe Pep has let us down as well over the last couple of weeks. But I feel like I know what I'm getting with De Bruyne when he's on the pitch. And that's extremely good positions, goal scoring opportunities, assist potential, through the roof with Kevin De Bruyne. Whereas with Heung-min Son, I don't know exactly what I'm going to get. I don't know which position he's going to play. Obviously, rate him extremely highly as a player, but again, it's more personal reasons that I might end up going there for a bit of fun this weekend. But yeah, even though De Bruyne is frustrated, I'm not in a massive rush to sell either.
Yeah, I think ahead of game week 29. I mean, it's quite good for. I mean, I'm keeping De Bruyne probably, but I could move him to Salah. I would move De Bruyne to Salah, but I would possibly not to Son. But we don't know whether Salah's going to be fit as well. So, but by game week 29, we'll have much more information. We'll know if Liverpool are playing or not, but also we'll know what's happening with Son as well. We'll have a couple of games to assess where Spurs are at, because they could be. I mean, over the years and this season, Spurs have been an amazing source of FPL points, and also one of the most frustrating source of FPL points or FPL crashes and burns. Okay, we've got some questions in the live chat, so I'll go through as many of these as we can. How long we got? Another 10 minutes or so?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, good stuff. Okay, we'll get these questions in. I'm just finding one with a question mark. Kaya asks, sell Turner for Kelleher for a -4.
I guess depends on who the other goalkeeper is in the squad, because if you already have a starting goalkeeper, then I wouldn't be taking a -4. But in isolation, Kelleher, it sounds like Alisson may not be back until after the international break. So Kelleher looks good short term.
Yeah.
But yeah, much prefer it for a free transfer.
Yeah, I mean, Kelleher's in my team. We're talking on air. I actually took a -4. I didn't plan to for Kelleher, but I did it to forget about a misstep. After team news, I was so excited to get Alisson in. I got him in. This was a couple of weeks ago, at about 4:00, and then my heart, those heart sink moments where you read a tweet at 5:00, Alisson hamstring injury, out for weeks. So I just took a -4 to just rectify it. I wanted another Liverpool defender in the double, and I just got Keller in, and I'm just going to forget I took a -4. So my answer to that would be, yeah, do it, because I think you've got a good cheap goalkeeper for a good few weeks, and he plays for a top team. So it's that old thing: good players for good teams. And I wouldn't mind that. Depends who's other goalkeepers, obviously, but I think if it's Areola or Dubravka, they're not great. So Keller's better. If it's Raya, but then Raya's got a missing fixture soon, hasn't he? Raya against Brentford.
28, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, so he can't play in 28. So once again, you could be sort of goalkeeperless. So I think depends who the other goalkeeper is, but I suspect the goalkeeper might be rubbish.
Yeah, and the -4 could pay off.
Yeah,
it could when it's a Liverpool goalkeeper, it could.
Yeah. Okay. BB Defender. Would you sell Stupinan for a hit this week? If I don't, or he could play Amari Bell instead at home to Aston Villa. So yeah, would it? I mean, similar to what you're considering, but without the hit. But would you do it for a hit?
Yeah, I don't actually think I mind the hit there, because if you're expecting another 1-pointer from a Stupinan like I am, and possibly a 1-pointer from Amari Bell as well against Villa, then I don't mind a hit there. And, don't judge your hit 1 week afterwards, because if you get a Doughty or a Senesi, for example, longer term, your team could be in better shape. So yeah, I think it's fine to take the -4 there.
Okay. Ahmed asks, is it set in stone to free hit in game week 29? So you have to sort of rewind a bit to our earlier conversation. If there's hardly any fixtures on and you've only got like 1 or 2 players, then it could be a free hit, could be good. By the same token, if there's lots of fixtures on like Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea, and you don't have a lot of those players, you're going to want them in. So it could be a free hit there. But it's going to watch out for the FA Cup results up to Wednesday, and then watch Burning Questions and Deadline Dilemmas the next day. On Fantasy Football Scout's YouTube channel, because that will explain a bit more about the different permutations that are going on. And Praz on Deadline Dilemmas in particular is good at that. I think someone posted a picture of him, but with his head superimposed on the guy from Prison Break. That So when Praz takes his shirt off, he reveals he's got the tattoos of all the fixture permutations and chip strategies all over him. That very well may be the case. But yeah, so yeah, we've sort of answered that one earlier, but do rewind that. Thoughts on Havertz? Asked Facts. Yeah, I haven't seen him in a single team, but he's quite good. Is he?
I'm shaking my head. It's going to take more than a couple of weeks and a couple of good performances from Havertz for me to ever consider him for any fantasy format that I play. And the main reason is I think there's always going to be three better Arsenal picks you can go for.
Yeah.
You know, we mentioned earlier Gabriel, Saliba, even the goalkeeper Ben White, Saka, Odegaard. Yeah, he's not in the. You could even put Declan Rice ahead of him. I think the way he's playing this season. So Havertz is a no.
Yeah, I mean, Rice is now sharing corners and he's got Gabriel's head to aim at or another defender. So that's instant assists there. Rice racks up the bonus points anyway for just doing stuff. News from Kaya, who asked about selling Turner for Kelleher for -4. His other one is Dubravka, indeed. So when I said probably a rubbish keeper, yeah, Newcastle's defence is awful. So I think I would do that. I would do that move.
Yeah. And I think the latest tweets I seen today from Newcastle were that it wasn't clear cut that Dubravka would definitely be back. So you're obviously at risk of having no goalkeeper because of the illness.
Yeah.
So yeah, the -4 then is more advisable.
Oh, and also yes, that's worth mentioning. That's a good point as well, because when I talked to Neil who, on the team news, he analyses all the press conferences. He is a Newcastle fan, but Eddie Howe is one of the biggest. I'm just going to call it like it is. He's one of the biggest liars there is at press conferences. There is literally no way you're ever going to know if a player's going to start, whether they're benched, ill, dead, live, whatever. You just will not know. Anthony Gordon could have his legs removed and somehow still play up front. Who knows? Okay. Yun asked, bench one of Gross, Hwang, or Palmer. That's quite tough.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the fixtures. Gross plays
Fulham.
Fulham. Yeah. Cole Palmer is away to Brentford. And who's the third one? Hwang. Play all three somehow would be my answer. But if you have to bench one, not Pascal Gross in current form and routes to points, I don't think you ever bench Palmer either with penalties. So it's probably Hwang.
Yeah. Yeah, I think in isolation, but it is that Newcastle fixture. And I think a lot of people have been pointing out that Hwang's in your team as well, got him in for that Sheffield United game. But actually, the Newcastle game is probably more suited to him because Newcastle's defence is really proper bad.
Yeah, and I liked the Gameweek 28 fixture as well against Fulham for Hwang. So it was... We're getting content creators are getting bashed this week because of the Hwang blank, but I'm hoping we'll have the last laugh. You know,
Definitely.
ask us again in two weeks' time.
Yep. Chris Bingham, where can I get the first info on the projected fixtures for 34-37 after the FA Cup draw? Just look on Twitter. There'll be loads. There'll be loads of people have analysed it. Just have a look on there, and the next day have a look on YouTube, Fantasy Football Scouts channel, obviously. And you're going to have lots of expert advice on that. Jason would rather go back to Richarlison at the moment and keep KDB. I don't know what that is in relation to. I've got a found his question. He's got KDB and Salah, and so he's waiting on news. So yeah, good going keeping Salah this time. So yeah, he's looking at Richarlison. I'm not sure what the question is there, but anyway.
I suppose it's just. Yeah. Maybe going Richarlison instead of Son, I guess.
Yeah. Could be. Yeah.
I still think it's a close call.
Okay. FPL Spartans, he's got similar defensive issues as you. If I make a defensive transfer, who do I bench between? He's got to bench one of these, okay? KDB, Gross or Hwang. What the hell? What are these people with these benching decisions? Who do I bench? Messi, Pele, or whatever. Maradona. Yeah.
It's Hwang again, I think. Don't bench De Bruyne. Yeah. Poor Hwang. He's fallen from grace very quickly.
Yeah. Triple Brentford. Are you keen on Triple Brentford? Tony Flecken and any others?
Yeah, for 29 itself. I think Fleck and Regulon, Tony
Yep.
will be popular,
Yeah.
especially those who free hit.
Yeah.
You free hit in 29, you get triple Spurs, triple Brentford, triple Villa, and then fill in the gaps.
Yep. Okay, I'm going to rattle through these ones here. Thank you, Solomon. You've given us some lovely money here. I don't know what currency that's in though, but it's 160 of it. So I don't think that's pounds.
Must mean you going for pints tonight, Joe. Then
That's me. Yeah. I think, or yeah, it could be, or half. I'm partial
yeah,
to that.
birthday drinks for you.
Mind, I can't even pronounce this. Mine Zorgi, mine Zorgi, gross to son or just roll.
I'd find it hard to sell gross at the
Yeah.
moment. Bonus point, Magna, and good fixture. So yeah, penalties possibly as well. Yeah, I would just keep them.
Rightio. Another one here. John asked Gordon to Luis Diaz for free move to basically have some Liverpool attacking assets in the game. A lot of people have got rid of.
I still like Gordon. I still like him as a pick.
Yeah.
Home to Wolves. I think I would just keep him as well.
Yep. They think the currency is yen, Japanese yen. So we've got 160 Japanese yen. Thanks a lot, Suleiman. Thank you a lot. Cheers. And got a question here. Richard asked, wildcard 28. Would you be tempted to wildcard 28? Yeah, because you were thinking about wildcarding. You could wildcard this week. But is there a merit in wildcarding 28? Because at least you... I think there might be a tendency to stock up on Bournemouth and Luton, and they're not sort of players you want too long.
Yeah, there's probably not a huge amount of difference between wildcard this week or 28. I think for me it would be I'd be very tempted to get the bench boost out of the way with a Bournemouth keeper and a Luton keeper. So yeah, I think I prefer this week rather than next week with the wildcard.
Suleiman, who's kindly given us 160 Japanese yen, has asked a question as well. So we're definitely going to answer that. Foden to Odegaard. I'm going to say a no to that because Foden plays Manchester United next, and he scored a hat trick, didn't he? Last time he played them at home.
Foden is just having his best ever FPL season.
Yeah.
9 goals, 7 assists, very kindly priced still. Yeah, I don't think you sell Foden. Not for an Odegaard. Maybe down the line you might turn him into a Salah or something like that. Yeah. But no, keep Foden for now.
Yep, definitely. So Suleiman, that's the answer to that. Odegaard is good, Foden better. And he's we've got to think at the moment, the way it is, Newcastle, Manchester United, these are good fixtures for attackers to face. Their defenses aren't in great shape. So, if you've got an attacker against them, really good. I think we've got some stats here about Foden from Dr. David, who I think we've had Dr. David in before. I think we established he wasn't a doctor. No, he was a doctor. He is a doctor. Dr. David. Foden has 9 goals. He's a doctor of Foden. He's got 9 goals and 4 assists this stage last season. So I don't know. Yeah, so doing well. Suleiman says thank you as well. So thank you, Suleiman, as well.
Yeah, thank you.
I think we've got all of those questions there. It's always a bit of a flurry getting those questions in because some of them are questions without a question mark, and some of them do have a question mark. And but yeah. Some good ones there. Hopefully we managed to answer lots there. I've no more questions coming in, so I think we should call it a halt. We've got some thinking to do this week, and we've got FA Cup games will dictate a lot of that, and they're going to dictate a lot of our trip strategy as well. And just one final question has come in from Keltish Celt. Hold or get rid of Garnacho, or for who? I would keep him. Because he might play in 29.
Yeah, just keep him. But in my mind, he's always been an 8th attacker rather than a 7th attacker, and I still feel comfortable with that.
And just before we go, actually, you put the captaincy on Haaland. I'm so used to seeing the captaincy on Haaland as well. Of course, this week you've got Saka against Sheffield United. You've got Foden and De Bruyne as well, also like Haaland against Manchester United. Solanke, pretty good fixture. Luton, pretty good fixture. And so it goes on. My captain, like you, is on Haaland, but I'm also Saka curious this week, but probably more on Haaland. But John David asks, who, you know, are we gonna stick with that? We think.
Yeah, I think I'll be on Haaland. I think back start of the season, first 14 or 15 game weeks, I think I captained Haaland every week, maybe bar one. And it served me quite well. And I've just kind of gone back to the perma Haaland captain approach. I know he's hasn't been finishing every chance recently, but I'm just happy to see him getting in those positions. And before long, he'll be 100% sharp again. And there'll be, braces and hat tricks. So, yeah, pretty sure, even though it's against my own team, the armband will probably stay there.
Definitely. Thanks so much for joining me. It's good to get your thoughts, the team, especially thoughts because, as you know, my management style is very similar to yours. So, and that's probably why we're so similar in the rankings at the moment. We make very similar decisions there. Just a reminder to everyone, do press that like button, do remember to subscribe, and do check out fantasyfootballscout.co.uk for all the latest membership offers to help you get access to those tools and gadgets to climb up your mini leagues. Thanks a lot for your time. Thanks for joining us in the live chat. Thanks for all your questions. Take care. Good luck with the game week, and stay tuned for all the latest content this week. For get all the update of pre-cup games and after cup games and what we're going to be doing. But Mark, good luck. See you soon.
Cheers, all.